My name is Constance Carter, as she says, and I have a motto. It's nobody works harder than Constance Carter, which is true. And if you don't mind, I like to kind of get interactive with you guys, so I don't like to stand on podiums. If that's okay with you, everybody can see me all right? Okay, so I'm Constance, I'm a wife, like she said. I've been with my husband since I was 15 years old. Wow. So yesterday, I just turned 42. So I don't know how long that makes us being together, but it's been a long time. And he's my king, and we have a really strong and great marriage, and I'm super happy, and I'm in love with my husband. I have 4 beautiful, amazing children. My daughter's at Hampton University, her first year, HBCU. And actually, when I met Siobhan, I was with my daughter. She always went everywhere with me. So anytime I had to speak, my daughter was right there with me. And she's away at college. So now I got to do this on my own. Now I have Dawn with me, so I appreciate Dawn, which is a great replacement for my baby. And then I have 3 boys. So they're 9, 11, and 13. So now it's just me and a bunch of stinky boys in the household. Everybody against mommy. So that's cool. I'm also CEO of Catalyst Real Estate Professionals. We're the largest African-American owned real estate firm in Northern California. I do has always been in an effort to really empower people. So I got into the business just trying to empower people. How can I help you? How can I help you create the best life? How can I help you create your legacy? So it's not been just about transactions. How many houses can I sell? If I call 100 people, close 10 people, give this many employees. It's never been about that. So how do I help you? Because home ownership creates a legacy. It changes the trajectory. It did for me when I bought my house at 23 years old. And I wanted to create the same opportunity for other people. Because that's not how it was for me when I was growing up. When I was growing up, it was very unstable. Yes, today I've accomplished all these great things. I was, like she said, I was in Black Enterprise, and I was in Huffington Post, and I've been on Fox, and I've been in Rolling Out Magazine. I've done all these great things. It's great. It's great for the business and all those things, but that's not how it started for me. So my parents were really young when they started having kids. My mom was 16 when they had my brother. And so by the time they had me 8 years later, my parents had got together, separated, got back together, separated. Every year it seemed like, till I was about 6 years old. Then when I was 6, they finally got together for the longest period, and we were finally gonna be this family. And it was gonna be great. It was gonna be my mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister. Finally. So we moved into this 3-bedroom home, and it's all good, and we're gonna have this family that I had always dreamed of since I was, a baby. Because it was always this instability. And then, more people started moving in, and more people started moving in. Anybody who needed a house, anybody who needed a place to stay, because my parents were really kind-hearted. Anybody who needed a place to stay, they come stay with us. So at some point, we had 19 people living in a 3-bedroom home. Right, so to say I was overexposed to a lot is an understatement. It was not good. My parents, most of the time they were working, so it was just a lot of things that I was exposed to as a child. And the only thing I ever wanted was a normal family. The only thing I ever wanted was to eat dinner at the dinner table as a family. The only thing I ever wanted was to drive in a car as a family. Never got that. I always wanted to go on vacation as a family. Never. In fact, this year my dad turned 70. We went on a cruise with my mom and dad, but they're no longer together, but that was the first time we ever did anything kind of as a family. But I always wanted that in life. I always longed for that as a child. And so we did this for years until I was about 12 years old. And we moved into a smaller house, and we didn't take the stragglers. But during that time, when I was about 7, my aunt, she was my Sunday school teacher. And she told me, she said, you can do or have or be anything in the world that you want to. She said, because God loves you the same that he loves everybody else. Amen. She said, not no more, but not no less. You are as equally as important. And I was like, even the President of the United States? She said, even the President of the United States. So for me, that changed the whole trajectory of my life. Because as a little Black girl, in a world where you're deemed, subliminally, you're not pretty enough or good enough or all of these things. And my auntie told me I was equally as important as the President of the United States. So I knew then I deserved everything in the world that the world had to offer. I knew then that I could do anything because God loved me the same, and nobody was as more important than me. So that's how I lived my life. Even through all of the turmoil and the instability, I knew in my life that I was somebody, and I was something, and I deserved to have the life that I wanted. So when I turned about 14, my mom decided to move out of the house. She kind of got disconnected from the family. She left. And when my mom left, she left. The support, physical, emotional, financial. My mama said, my kids is grown. Only thing is, I wasn't grown. Everybody else was. So it was, I no longer mattered. And I remember my daughter was 14 years old just a few years ago. And that was the most critical time of her life. That was the time that we became the closest, when she was 14. That was the time when she needed me the most, when she was becoming a woman, when she was trying to figure things out. And boy, did I need my mother at 14 years old. But I still have my dad. My dad was always my constant. Dad was my hero. My dad was always there, sitting in the front row with anything I've ever done. Because I was always active, because somebody made the mistake of telling me I was smart when I was little, so I believed them. So I was just, I was in leadership, and I was playing every instrument, and I was in every play, and whatever. But my dad was always there. He was my superhero. He was my Superman. He could do no wrong. So every time I played, I was a musician. I thought I was going to be a musician when I grew up, because I played the bass, and I played the drums, and I played all these instruments. And so my dad was always there, grinning, sitting on the front row. My mom wasn't there, but Pops was always there. Well, when I became a senior in high school, my father, he met a woman, and she became a replacement for me. So I was his number one priority, but then she became. So the last concert of the year for me, I was in high school, I was a senior in high school, and I was playing in every band, and I was playing this instrument, and I was looking out in the audience, looking for my dad, because he was always in the front row, he was always there. This time, he wasn't there. I was like, what? Okay, he'll be here later. So then I go over to this band, I play this instrument, and looking out in the audience for my dad, he wasn't there. I had won an award that night, Best Musician Award. I did all these great things. It was the last concert of the year. My father wasn't there. He was with this new woman that he replaced me with. And a few months later, he got married. She moved in with her children, and they kicked me out, and I became homeless. I slept in my car. I slept on couches. My father, who was my everything, my superhero, kicked me out on the streets. His wife didn't like me, so one of us had to go, and it wasn't her. Not yet. She ain't there no more. But that was a really, really painful time in my life. My father, today he'll say that was the worst mistake he'd ever made in his life. And I wouldn't change that time for anything in the world, because it's, where I am today. That was my foundation for where I am today. Had I not gone through those obstacles, I would not be where I am today. So I'm so thankful to God for everything that I've been through, because those were that just meant the blessing was going to be bigger. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the what? The bigger the blessing. And so that's what it was for me. So I wouldn't change it. So yeah, today, I'm doing all these great things, but it's because of that time of instability in my life that I'm able to create the life that I always wanted. If you look at me, if you follow me on Facebook, remember I said I always just wanted to drive in the car with my family. You'll see me with selfies with my family. Every time we go somewhere, I'm taking a family selfie. I always wanted to go on vacation with my family. I do 3, 4, 10 vacations a year with my family. I always wanted to sit at the dinner table as a family, which never happened. Able to sit down and have an intellectual conversation with my husband and my children. I created the life that I always wanted to. want to challenge you today to just create a life, even though you may have an obstacle, even though there may be a challenge in your life, you can still create the life that you want to. Yes. I want to talk to you really quick about 5 steps to overcoming your fear and pushing past your obstacles. Okay, so yes, please write this down. It's 5 steps to facing your fear. Now, some people say fear is false evidence appearing. Yes. Some people have fear of success, fear of failure, fear of getting too big, too quick, and not being able to support it. I've had people fearing, they'll be too successful and then they won't be able to really take care of their family the way they want to. Not having balance, fear of not having balance. Let me tell you something, balance is a myth. Whoever told you could have balance in all things was lying to you. Because sometimes you're going to sacrifice one thing for another at some point in time, but it's quality over quantity. Sometimes I have to fly all over the country and I'm not there for a baseball game, but guess what? When I'm there, I'm there. I'm giving 110% to my children. So balance is not going to be the thing that you're ever going to be able to accomplish in life if you want to be a highly successful person. So the first step to fear is failure. You are going to fail. Every single person in this room is going to fail. At some point in your life, you're going to fail, right? So what's the difference between you and the person sitting next to you? One person's going to get up, one person's going to stay down. Which person are you going to be? Thomas Edison created the light bulb, right? It took him 10,000 times to finally get this thing right. You know what he said? He said, I ain't failed 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways it just don't work. It's perspective, right? It's all in how you look at it. So you're going to fail, but keep pushing. The second one, and this is my favorite, it's embarrassment. Sometimes you got to beat a fool. Sometimes you're going to have to get embarrassed. Sometimes you're going to step out there and people are going to be like, what in the heck is she doing? I've had that. I always try to do something. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I'm always trying to do this. And my people was like, what? They call me Niecy. What Niecy doing now? Always something, right? And sometimes I've disqualified myself based upon what I thought I wasn't capable of doing. A lot of times we'll do that. We won't walk into our purpose because we just fear not being able to operate in what it is that we're supposed to do. Has there ever been a time in your life that you didn't do what you were supposed to do because you had a fear? Yes. It's time to break that. Early on in my career, when I first got my real estate license, and by the way, it's been a highly successful agent. But the first year, I didn't have the best car. I had this old Ford Windstar, but all my colleagues had Mercedes-Benzes. But I had an old Windstar. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So I'd throw people in my car, hoping that it didn't fail me that day. Door used to fly open. So I was like, Lord, my husband, he's trying to jimmy it. So I was like, okay, it ain't gonna fly open today. Had these new people coming in to stock. They were from Oakland. I didn't really know them. Wife sitting in the front, husband sitting in the back. I'm driving. And I was like, okay, Lord, please don't let this thing fall down. Driving, I hit the corner. Husband back there, door fly open. He back there, hold the door closed. Trying to stay in, hoping you don't fall out. I was embarrassed. I was mortified. But what did I do? I overcompensated my service because of my lack. Yes. Because as women of color, we're taught we gotta run fast, jump high, we gotta do all this extra stuff just to be considered equal, right? Yes. That was my lack. Me having an old Ford Windstar minivan, while everybody else had a Mercedes-Benz, not having the best gear, I had to overcompensate that. So always make sure you raise the bar higher. That needs to be the barometer of how you conduct your business, or whatever it is you want to do. Third step, all your cards on the table. You got to go all in. You got to be focused. No plan Bs. When God has called you to your purpose in life, if you really want to reach it, you have to be all in. Put all your cards on the table. When I first got into real estate, my husband said, okay, we're going to focus on you, and I'm going to go and I'm going to work, and we're going to, because I know that you have the ability to make a great amount of money. And so I got laid off from my job, came home, I was ready to go. I was like, yeah, because it was already planned layoff. So I was like, okay, Warren, we ready to go. We're about to do this. Came home, he got laid off on his job too. So he was like, okay, he went and got a minimum wage job just to support us. And we had to go all in, because you know what I knew? I wasn't gonna go from Stockton to Palo Alto anymore. I couldn't do it. It was like I was gonna die. So my goal was to make sure I had enough money to pay diapers and daycare for my daughter. And it was just focus, laser focus. So go all in, put all your cards on the table. The R's, you gotta be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to take a risk. Invest in yourself. Whatever you do, you are your biggest, you're your biggest investment. Make sure you're your biggest collateral. Make sure you invest in yourself. I've spent thousands of dollars taking risks and losing money, but I made millions taking risks and losing and investing in myself. Take a risk on you. You are your biggest investment. And the S is for sleepless nights. It's fears. It's not fears, fears. Successful people do not keep normal business hours. So while they sleeping, you grinding. Puffy said, I'll sleep when I die. I don't know about all that, but I will be the first one in and the last one out. There's a goal that you really want to reach. You're going to have to work harder than the next person. So I just want to challenge you today just to make sure and to let you know that don't let your fear of anything be your obstacle, but just allow it to be a stepping stone so that you can walk. No, so that you can run into your greatness. I'm Constance Carter. So I gotta get up on stage.